podcast.
Bring your friends!
We're live.
We're live and recording all the different mottos Army has. So that's been fun.
No, we're not doing that. Susan Price is on the podcast, everybody. For the people that don't know who Susan is, first of all, thank you for being here, Susan. I know
Yes.
you're in the middle of a lot of things, but Susan is a Goldstar Mother. She's also a veteran herself, and man, can she talk? Susan can really put out her points in a way that just makes me feel like I'm a toddler when I try to talk to people.
Well, I don't know about that, my friends. I do my best during the times we live in.
Yeah, is a
Thank
crazy.
you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks, Susan. I appreciate you being here. I've been really excited to interview you for like a long time,
Mhm.
especially 'cause I have a lot of friends who are in the Marine Corps that know who you are.
Yeah.
Like your name is very well known in the Marines. For the people that don't really know who you are, could you give us a taste of like or whatnot? Because I feel like I can't do as amazing of a job as you do of introducing yourself. Granted, all of our conversations we've had over the past few months.
Well, first of all, I am the mother of Aaron Michael Kennefick, who was a Marine killed during the Ganjgal ambush in 2009, tied to two Living Medal of Honor recipients, Marine Dakota Meyer and Army Captain Will Swenson. I'm also the daughter of a Marine, and I am myself an Army veteran that comes from a long line of military service in every uniform. And I'm a mother of two daughters and a grandmother of 7 grandchildren. And I'm just a mother and an ordinary person trying to make extraordinary differences through my speaking and my research and writing and keeping the spotlight on the dark corners going on against Americans and humanity as a whole. So thank you for and I'm humble. I'm a child of God and very humble. So
I appreciate you doing this.
Yes.
It's really nice to talk to you. I gotta ask you, as I've been meaning to ask you. Dad was in the Marine. Why not the Marines? Why you went Army? Out of all the
no, it's a crazy story, and my father asked me that too. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I was a young teenager right out of high school, and I took 2 buses across town for a job because that was the economy at the time in Buffalo. And I ran across a girlfriend from high school, and I was working in a little candy shop from 10 in the morning till 10 at night, 6 days a week. And I saw her at the bus stop one night, and she said, I just signed up for the Army, and you want to go in on the buddy system. I'm going to Europe. And I said, yes, I want to go tomorrow and check it out. Because at the time, me growing up, I'm 64 now, there were not a lot of advantages for kids unless you went to college, and my parents couldn't afford to send us to college. And when my father got out of the Marine Corps, we lived in the city. So I was an enterprising young woman, and I thought, I always wanted to go to Europe and travel and see the world. So that's what I did. And my father, he said, I'm not mad that you're going in the service. I'm happy, but why not the Marines? Well, I really didn't give it any thought. And had I would have. But there you go.
So it's your girlfriend's fault.
Yeah. It's not really a fault. It's because of that. The rest of life followed. So we're always where we're supposed to be, whether we realize it or not. At least I made a difference. I signed on that dotted line to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. And I do so whether I'm in uniform or not until this very day.
That's what I tell everybody when I go into bars. I am still protected, so I should get a free drink. I should get a free drink. So
Oh, well, it's good we can laugh over it.
Oh God, Susan, what did you join us originally? Like, what was your MLS?
I was a 71 Lima, but I was told when I took the test that I would make a great detective and cop, and they wanted me to go in as an MP. And they said that I scored very high and that I'm really good at connecting the dots, which is proven at this time in my life now and throughout my life. You know, I'm a networker and a dot connector. And I just want to say, in a few days, the Marine Corps ball's coming up and the birthday of the Marine Corps. So to all my Marine families, ooh-ah, semper fi.
there we go.
Somewhere a town is gonna get burned up because some Marines. See, Susan knows what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. You
exactly.
know
As
it.
soon as somebody
Just
comes
know
up
it.
to him, he goes, you know,
Wait,
ring.
what is it? It's on the 12th, right?
The 10th. But again, yeah, it's the day before Veterans Day. But
Oh my God, who did that? Whose idea was it that? Let's do the Marines. Oh, that's so crazy because they're just gonna
Yeah.
become doubly obnoxious.
well, I have to tell you, the Marines are always the first in. I don't care if they're in uniform or out of uniform. If another Marine or Marine family's in trouble, they're there. They're always there. And I'm not taking away from the other military branches. We love them all. My family has served in all of them. Anyone that served in uniform, the less than 1% of our nation, they're men and women of honor and valor, and I love them all. So
Right now, nobody wants to join the.
Yeah.
Have you been paying attention to that by any chance?
I know probably more than you know about what's going on behind the scenes.
I'm aware.
I have no
that's
doubt.
What, that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking. Why do you think?
Oh yeah, I want you to bring on Derek Johnson, who's an Army veteran, and you need to bring him on because he will educate your audience on what's going on behind the scenes, which I've known about for years because when President Trump was in office, he wrote a series of executive orders, and I've written about them. And the only other person I heard talking about them, besides the truthers, is the Army veteran, Derek Johnson, who emerged on the scene here with truthers just over the last few months. So he's out there and he's in a blazing glory talking about what's going on. So I don't want to take away, that's his story. I'll stick to mine right now. But I had the pleasure of meeting him in Nashville last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know he was like all cool and patriotic like.
Yeah.
Well, he served in the Army and he's a country western singer, but he's a patriot first. You know, we have to take care of our country or we won't be able to sing, shop, do anything. You know, we have to be a patriot first. And that's what he's doing.
So I got to ask you, when you say patriot, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what is your definition of like a patriot to you?
Make the young modern Paul Revere's. This is the second American Revolution. I don't know if your listeners are aware of it. It is, with what's going on in government. And you asked if I was aware of what's going on with this administration. I do. And so I've been aware since my son died. In fact, when my son died, I thought it was just all about Aaron and the military, those that have been killed through the microcosm and macrocosms of war and the politics of war, the so-called fog of war that the deep state military generals, those that set others up and launder taxpayers' dollars, they get away with these crimes against our sons and daughters on the battlefield. So the patriots, such as myself, the Lord shown me through my son's death how it connects into the network of human trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, and from politics, from the battlefields of Afghanistan and Iraq into the communities across America and the world. And so, I went down that rabbit hole and I could not believe what I saw. And it's been 13 years. My research took a total of about 10 years. And about 2-3 years after my son's death, I started connecting the dots, where I saw how when he was killed, and Dakota Meyer, the first Medal of Honor recipient, he has the front story, and he wrote a wonderful book. And the both of us had been on 60 Minutes talking about the Battle of Ganjgal. Dakota's story is the front story. I have a backstory because my son was an intelligence Marine. He was Force Recon Special Operations before he went to Central Command, before he served the generals at CENTCOM. And he worked with the very generals that ran the Iraq and Afghanistan war. And he worked in J5, first of all, strategic plans and policies. Mm-hmm. And then he found out the politics of what were going on, and he had the highest security clearance. So he was an intelligence Marine. Yes, his job was admin. Come on, people. For all of you that know or don't know, we have to have a job to do the other important job. So,
well, the job's not done until the paperwork is. So that's.
God damn it! I hate how truthful that is.
So he worked, and he had out of boot camp. He was sent to jump school, Army jump school, and he was the honor grad out of Army and Marines. It's not a contest against one branch of service or another, where we work together, but he was honor grad, and then with his high security clearance, and then they sent him to Quantico, Virginia, and he was the commandant of the Marine Corps' driver while they got his top secret security clearance put together. Mm-hmm. And then, pardon? Yes.
During the time that he was doing all this, did y'all communicate like a lot?
Oh yeah, my son and I were very close, but he could only tell me certain things. Once you receive your clearance, you can't. You don't. You have a moral compass. You live by your moral compass. And I'm a family of service. We know better. But I actually knew that he received his security clearance before he did, because there was a black SUV in my driveway taking pictures of my home and my vehicles, my license plates on the vehicles. And my neighbor next door called me and said, "Susan, look out your front window. There's a guy in a black SUV taking pictures." Now, I ran out the front door down the driveway, and this guy was all the way up on my driveway snapping pictures of my car. And at the time, there was no such thing as cell phone cameras. It was separate cameras. We didn't have that. Okay. Aaron went in the service after high school. He was on delayed entry in 1997. So when he went on, delayed entry in 1996, his junior year of high school. So in 1997, there was no war. Well, that's known to us. There's always a war going on somewhere. But and when he graduated, 2 weeks later, he went to South Carolina to boot camp. And then he graduated at the top of his class, and he was always a smart man. And he was born a Marine, It's in his blood. And
you knew, like, him growing up, you were like, yeah, you're 100% going to be in the Marines, buddy.
Listen, he was just always a leader. The kid was 3 years old, and he had his little Hot Wheels cars. They were always neat in a row, his room. His room was always clean. His sister's room was a mess, but his room was always everything. He was the paper boy. He took care of the elderly in the neighborhood, always looking out for them. And growing up in Buffalo in the winter, there's blizzards. They come out of nowhere. You can be driving down the street. So he would make sure the elderly people, and there had been about probably 60 of them that lived in the apartments at the end of our residential area. And he checked in on them because he was a paper boy. So, I mean, I never had to ask him to do things. He just did them. That was his nature. And he was the kid that had 20 other kids that came to my house and eat me out of house and home on a Friday night. Everybody wanted to hang out there. So we had to have some boundaries, and I told them every other weekend you guys could come and watch movies, and we'll order pizzas, but you have to clean up and leave at a certain time, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you got lucky because most boys at 3 are pretty messy.
I don't know how it is. It just.
He came out during little corners. He was born and just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
What is this?
He's bouncing the quarter off his cribs like, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, that was Aaron. I don't know how that happened. I did get lucky. However, I made up for it with the 2 daughters that I had. So, yeah.
You always think girls are going to be cleaner or keep their rooms.
I have one. Don't know.
I know you do.
Let's not go down this path. No.
Oh, listen, I can't go to their house now and eat without them getting the vacuum cleaner and cleaning crumbs. Now they're OCD, but then it was a different story. So, but no, my son was involved with sports. His father was his coach. He was football, baseball, basketball, track. That's what he loved. And his dad was his coach, with assistant coach with everything. And I was the football, baseball, basketball mother. We did things as a family, and we went to church on Sunday. Not that you have to go to church, because we have God as the foundation of our lives. But, we did everything as a family, not me. And I told the mark. Yeah.
Were you shocked when he told you, Mom, I'm enlisting, here's the paperwork?
No, he didn't do that. He came to me and said, Mama, I want to talk to you about something. I'm thinking about going into the Marine Corps like your father, like Grandpa. And I said, okay, Aaron, but you could go to college for free on a sports scholarship. Are you sure that you want to do this? I'm always behind my children, whatever their decisions are, but I want to make sure that they themselves make the right decision. They haven't lived the life I have. So, and he said, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to be a part of something that is greater than myself. And I said, okay. And so he said, I want to invite my recruiter over to the house to sit at the table so that you could assist me. I know you got big eyes, but listen, I was my son's major mentor in his life. I was a great mother. I got to tell you, I'm a great mother and grandmother. And I was honored that, coming from my family, my son valued his mother and father's input, even his grandparents. How the old families did, how we respect our elders. Yeah.
Like in Sicily,
Hispanic
Yeah.
family. Not get beat with a flip flop.
That's true.
We're the Irish German version, and we're very conservative. We're very much a family. If I were to invite you two into the home of my brothers and my sister, that they'd be rolling the red carpet out for you. We honor those people that honor others, and take care of. So I said, yes, son, invite your recruiters and I'll sit there. And he said, Mom, you've been through it, and you'll guarantee that you'll listen and do your best to drive me to the right job. That fits me without anybody trying to railroad me. Not that they would, and I'm not saying that that would happen. So that's what happened, and there was a few recruiters at my table, and they were wonderful guys. In fact, for a whole year, we became like family. We invited them over to special events. But when they, for that first initial visit, and they sat at my dining room table, they said, we never, did this, conduct business at the table at a home. It's usually in our office, and we've never had a mother sit in. And I said, well, now you have. So yeah. I'm like the general. I'm General Moms, and that's what my son always called me, because he knows that I don't. Whenever I'm all about fairness, and if one of my children did something wrong, all right, correct it, do the right thing. I'm not just, oh, that's my kid, I got to stick up for him. No, I want the right thing. Do the right thing. I'm about justice and accountability, then and now.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, we talked a little bit about this off camera. You're getting ready to do your own show on a network. Yes. In 2 weeks, I will be on the Patriot Party News, PPN. If you go to Rumble and you put PPN in there, I will have my own show, and it will be called The Quantum Warrior. Oh, nice. Yes, and I will be on at 11 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. So you're adding just more to your schedule, because you were writing for the America Out Loud, and sometimes the Liberty Beacon. But what I'm doing is I'm just moving things around a little bit. And instead of writing weekly articles for America Out Loud, I'll do 2 a month, and I'll get on this show and bring important people, salt of the earth people, then communities, to talk about what's going on. How can we be a solution creator, right? Everybody's having a hard time now with all the crazy politics. And, I have friends that are, red, blue, white, purple, green. It doesn't matter what political party, what color you are, we all want the same things. We want to live in a world of peace and raise our children where they're not trying to turn boys into girls and girls into boys and take those rights away from us as parents. So yeah, that's very, very Frankensteinish, isn't it? I mean, yeah. And I love that term. I've used it. They've weaponized the sex of our children against us. And our babies happens in the animal kingdom, where a bull wakes up one day and just wants to be milked. I don't know how that works. How does that work? It's funny, but it's not, because we've seen the destruction, and we've seen the culture change, eradicated. And our children have become the most endangered species on the face of the earth. Traffic. Do you think this is, you hear it in mainstream all the time and everything else. Do you think this is just like a fringe? Because I've noticed that most of that stuff happens in like California or New York. Not so much the middle. You know what I mean? So it doesn't sound like the whole mainstream media is like, hey, everybody wants their 3-year-old to pick their gender, and I don't think that's the common thing. I mean, it's that run into is like, it's like damn it, I wanted a girl, so they make one. I mean, I don't think it works that way in most of the country. Well, you're on to something. Yes, New York and California probably are the most indoctrinated through that satanic culture. However, it's going on in every state, whether we know it or not. And you're right, it is a minority force, but so are the bad guys. They're the less than 1%, and they've been encroaching upon our constitutional rights through their false narratives. They'll say one word, and the meaning of their word is different for them than it is for us, and they try to use that against us. So I live in Florida, and I know that our governor
Ron DeSantis isn't having any part of it. A child under 18 cannot go through any of the treatment plans of transgenderism, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I think they passed a law. I think it was Florida, where you can't give them puberty blockers. Anybody under the 18.
right, that's true. So they'll go to New York or California, and those two, you know, that governor there in New York, I know her well. I went toe to toe with her twice when she was a congresswoman within Williamsville, New York, where I used to live. And I actually got a meeting set for the Pentagon to go into because she was in charge of the Arms Committee. She was part of that when she was the congresswoman. So I have a lot of media friends. I work in the media as well. And we arranged 2 separate meetings, and I got in and I got into the Pentagon and brought some Gold Star families in. But, you know, these generals that we had, I wanted to go on C-SPAN and set the record straight. Again, I'm all about justice and accountability.
Yeah.
And putting things on the record. But they couldn't do this. You know, they're deep state military industrial complex people. Didn't want that out there. In fact, let me tell you, the second Medal of Honor recipient, who was an Army Captain, Will Swenson, when his merit citations were signed for him to become Medal of Honor recipient number 2 during the Ganjgal ambush, it went missing off of then former President Obama's desk. Not once, twice. How does that happen? It's inconceivable.
It's a big desk. Have you seen it? Have you seen?
It's never happened before. Okay, so who tied to that president that worked in the military industrial complex did not want the story to be out there? It was Congressman Duncan Hunter who jumped in, a former Marine, once again, jumped in. I contacted him and I asked him, how you making out on getting closer to this with Captain Swenson? And he said, they're not giving me the paperwork I need. I asked him what he needed. I actually had a copy. All the families did. And I said, I'll have it overnighted to you. Let's make it happen. Call me tomorrow when you receive it. I have extra documents that may be of importance, which they were. And it took 13 months. But we got Captain Swenson his Medal of Honor. When I met him in person, and I had to be there at the White House and the Pentagon, the whole 3 days of, you know, celebration, he said, you know, if it weren't for you helping out, Marine Mom, I wouldn't have this for 7 years. But I said, no, we need it too, the families of the fallen, because, you know, every measure of peace that we can achieve is important to us, you know, through this. Can you imagine losing your son or daughter to war, and every question you ask, you receive more questions than answers? In fact, when I met with Kathy Hochul's people, and they said I could come to the Pentagon to do my question and answer with the Gold Star families, if I would keep my questions to only 10 questions. And I went off on them. I said, don't you dare ask a mother of a fallen American hero, no matter what uniform, to keep their questions to a minimal amount. We will question you until we're done and with that we received our answers. Unless you can bring our sons and daughters back from that battlefield. And this is the thing, being a veteran myself, if I had served during wartime, I knew actions have consequences, so did my son. But really what took place is my son was denied air and artillery support and fought with the last bullets that he had. And you can't tell me, he was the last one to go down. And that one shot in the right cheekbone that severed his spinal cord, that was a hit. Out of 100 to 150 Taliban, supposedly, I say mercenary contractors because I know where the source came from through my research. But that doesn't happen. If you're going to be on a battlefield and you're going to be denied and everybody else is riddled with bullets, one bullet is a hit, okay? It's not an Afghan Taliban up on a mountaintop with flip-flops hanging off a cliff in a long robe. That doesn't happen. So, and it was during Ramadan, and they had fed a bunch of people before my son walked into that horseshoe valley at 5:20 in the morning that day. So, you know, let me go back to the beginning before the battle ensued. So we were talking about Aaron and how he served, and he was honor grad at jump school, and he had the high security clearance, and he worked at Central Command. A series of events unfolded in Florida before my son ever made it over to Japan, where he served for 2 years before shipping off to Afghanistan. And my son worked in J5 Strategic Plans and Policies. Now, for all of you out there that know strategic plans and policies, that's where they know where every single war zone is in the world. They know how to protect our sons and daughters from the most voracious fights. But so my son was working for a brigadier general, and I won't say his name. People can Google it. But this man is also behind the crimes of in Iraq at Abu Ghraib prison. You know, he was over there just before he came over to CENTCOM, August of 2004. And under the George W. Bush administration. And this guy was also an arms dealer. So how does a general allowed to become or operate as a businessman as an arms dealer? I mean, he's supplying both sides of the war. Then he's got a brother that works in the Treasury Department, you know, laundering money. And another brother that moves the drugs around through a business affiliated with the Oshkosh Trucking in Afghanistan.
I got a question for you. So those are pretty serious things. How is it that none of this has been addressed?
Because they're not me, and they don't have the eyes and the heart of a loving mother. I took the research over 10 years as a mother. You have to be attached to something emotionally, don't you? To find out what it's about. When you're married, you're attached to your wife or your spouse, and through them you learn things, but you wouldn't if you were just a friend. It's the emotional attachment of a mother to a child or a spouse, husband, wife. So I've done my research, and another factor is that I was personally attacked the years before, during, and after the death of my son. And I couldn't figure out before what was going on. Why was I shot? My vehicle shot out, my window shot out on my vehicle going to work one day. Why was my house broken into the night before my son was killed? Why was I followed by the State Department, the DOD, and monitored and had, oh my goodness, I'd get into my new car and the Pentagon would go right across, you know, in the new cars, all the technology.
Oh, yeah.
So I know who did it because the person that did it had access to all these military industrial complex because they are part of it. They're a family tied to it. So when somebody accosts me and I try to figure out what's going on and I got to run out of my house, run for my life and stay with friends, it pisses a mother off, especially a Marine mother and a Marine daughter and an Army veteran, to find out what in the world's going on. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it because I'm a pretty smart cookie, and I have a high IQ, but I also have common sense. So critical thinking.
Now you've been on I don't know which news you've been on, but you've already talked to Congress and the Pentagon and all these other places. And have you seen any headway? It seems like everything's turning now. The environment of having everything out in the open, yeah, instead of
Everything's about to emerge, and that's why I'm doing my own show and bringing other victims. That I have friends that are parents of SEAL Team 6. They've been accosted. We've seen the same thing with Benghazi survivor, the parents. We've all been followed, and weird, crazy things happen. At first, we think we're crazy. Like, what's going on? And really, at first, we're thinking, boy, this happened. That's strange. But when 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 different things happen to you, no, that's not a coincidence,
Okay, so just out of curiosity, you're a Democrat, right?
I'm not a liberal, I'm not a Democrat, and I'm not a rhino. I'm a patriot.
Okay. So how did that come about, doing the TV thing? Who approached you for that?
Oh, doing my PPN network?
Yeah.
I actually have been out here for such a long time. I'm interconnected with many truther networks, and some people from that show said, we would love to have you. And because you're connected to all different groups, because my story is just only one of many. This is my mission in life and my puzzle piece, where you gentlemen have a different mission. So we put it all together, we got the whole puzzle. But one person doesn't know all, can't do all. But we all have different communities. There's some communities that are very eclectic. Yeah. And thank God, we because that's how the world is. That's how America is. We're not just made up of one group of people. We have to join forces with our friends. That's their belief system. Doesn't mean ours is always right, So those that are in favor of saving our country and saving our children from tyranny, that's what I'm about. And you can't put a title, a Democrat, a liberal, this or that. I'm a patriot.
Asshole. I had to.
I know you had to. I was expecting it. I was expecting it. Don't worry about it.
Susan, I have a question for you. When we're talking about doing your own research and whatnot, how were you able to maintain, and obviously it's emotional and whatnot, because you can't maintain the focus to separate, okay, this is bullshit, this might be bullshit, this isn't bullshit.
Yeah, objectivity.
Objectivity. How were you able to maintain objectivity through everything? Because a lot of the stuff you're telling me, I know what you're talking about, and I know the general you're talking about, and there's articles about it.
Yeah.
But how were you able to maintain objectivity and not lose your mind and want to put your hands on somebody? Because let me tell you,
that's hard.
It gives me God forbid someone ever fucks with my kid. But how have you maintained objectivity throughout all of it?
Well, I'm a believer in God, for one thing. And I have children, I have a family, and sometimes you got to step away from all the research, and you have to be alone at certain periods, but you also have to be with loved ones who understand you. And, you have to do different things, get involved with different things. I'm also an advocate for the veterans, and I have friends that do different projects and help out and go on retreats with some of my SEAL team families and other Gold Star families that survived the atrocities of war, because we've been tragically credentialed into a membership of Gold Star families that we don't want to be a part of. But we had that crash course on what's really going on, and it hurts, to the core of your being. And I don't know. I'm still surviving it.
Well, at least you have a group with similar experiences where you can lean on. So that's always, and having a balance in your life with friends and family is always a bonus. So,
And I'm working on my book. Actually, there'll be 2 books. The appetizer book, that should be out into the new year. And
you're
yeah,
announcing the name of your book?
well, I'll just tell you, it's going to be about a mother's journey, a spiritual journey through the death of my son, who is a high-profile Marine. And I'm not going to tell the name yet. I'll come back on your show and we'll talk about it. How about that when the book comes out?
Okay.
Yeah.
Write that down. Write it down.
No, I got it.
Oh, you got it.
Well, you have to, trust me, I'll write it down. I'm really good about that stuff.
Clip this one for YouTube.
Thank you. There you go.
That way
Everyone will know. Everyone will know.
Well, yes.
I gotta ask you. Have you heard of the Battle of the Outpost?
I believe so. Yeah.
Two Medal of Honor recipients emerged out of that too.
Yeah.
One of the many issues that happened with the Outpost was, and I obviously don't know 100%. This is just coming from someone who read and has talked to some people.
Yeah.
One of the issues that happened at the Outpost was that it was because some generals were trying to compare dicks, saying, no, my guys can take over this bowl in here and we can fight it out. And it just continued to happen for so many years. And it wasn't until the Battle of the Outpost that they realized, like, shit, we got to close this down. Why do you think that we continue to have that sort of negligence? And it takes things going to shit for someone to go, oh, this is really bad. We need to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from my opinion, and not just mine, but others out there I know that have survived through this, we know that there's so many bad generals, that are part of the military industrial complex. They're tied into the corporations that want to take our freedoms down. So for them, this is a bloodbath sacrifice proving to, and they're the domestic terrorists within our government, because they not only work the military end, but they and their families themselves all serve politically as well at some point in their career. And they come from families of lobbyists. They go to the big schools like West Point and others like them.
Yeah.
These people end up in NATO. They end up in different compartmentalized of our 17 agencies. There's probably more agencies, but that's the number that we're aware of. And to them, they're involved with the money laundering. And if you can take this person down, oh, we'll promote you. I've seen some officers get promoted, not once, but 2 and 3 times within a very short amount of time. And the Marines especially, they don't promote you for anything. You really got to earn it.
Yeah.
What
did you think would be, in your mind, what do you think would be a solution from that to keep that down? Because they have generals in there, they're like, they're 90 and they're still a general. It's like, shouldn't you leave? Shouldn't you be like, no, there's some old generals out there. And admirals would be like, hey, why are you still here?
That's not the point of it. See, this is what's going on. Just watch and see what happens in the days, weeks, and months to follow into the new year. Just watch. It's going to fall apart, okay? People are working on it. There's the Alliance is working on it. And I will tell you, because I know someone that's working with a lot of the good generals, there's an action plan. That's why you need to have Derek Johnson on your show, because he'll go through what's going on. And the good generals that are old are sage and have strong advice. They're survivors over many wars. But then the bad guys, they're family dynasties, my friends. They're into all the big major corporations. You got BAE Systems and Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. They're all generational. It's like how the Rothschilds are and the bloodlines. These people are the military industrial complex bloodlines. They've been there since World War II. They're not going to go away unless we take down the old system, unless the patriots get involved with the alliance group. Knowledge is power. So you can open doors when you know what's going on. You know, we tend to vote for the wrong people because we think, oh, it's a black man. We never had a black president. Let's vote for him. People get off the issues. Then the guy turns on us and all these crazy laws come in. And now with this president we have now, you know, the world's going to hell in a handbasket for Americans.
That's true. I felt very betrayed by OJ after all that. That was horrible.
Yeah, so we have to learn, and once again, to vote on issues and not so much skin color or groups. You know, we're getting away from that. And you will see there's going to be a big change coming up in the months to follow.
Yeah, identity politics is never good because that's very, very tribal.
Well,
I gotta ask you, what is it like? And I don't know if you can answer this, but I just ask, what all does it take to put in a packet for someone to receive the Medal of Honor? I've always been curious of someone to explain that to me.
I can't answer that honestly because it takes a lot from eyewitness accounts and just there's so much to it. I as a mother of a fallen American hero who should be also counted in that, there's a lot that goes into it, but I wasn't so much focused on that. And well, of course, I worked with Congressman Duncan Hunter to get the facts behind it, but I'm more concerned with being the voice of my son, who, when he was 125 degrees in his battle rattle uniform on a battlefield, being denied air and artillery support by the Tactical Operation Command that was sitting in an air-conditioned building, and someone went in there, a particular major went in there and turned the frequency down on the radio so that my son's voice and his Marine team could not be heard. That's where my concentration goes on. Or laughing by someone in the air-conditioned Tactical Operation Command and saying, well, you Marines are going to have to figure this out for yourself, how you're going to get out of this. Oh, we're running out of artillery support. Bullshit. We don't. We're the most powerful military in the world. How dare you say that to a family, a military family, the less than 1% that gives the other 99% of the American people their voice.
Definitely.
How dare you?
That is very cold.
Got denied 10 times artillery air support. And that's when the
And there's more. There's more to it. It was such a complex. And they were set up by somebody that knew very well all the ins and outs of what went on in that particular village. It was known. Listen, the Russian mothers got their sons out of Ganjgal after 10 years. This was a known fact by our government and all the others. You don't go into Ganjgal Valley. That's the valley of death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I prayed about it to God when I received my 15-6 redacted investigation report, 250 pages by the Army, 250 pages by the Marine Corps. And I got on my hands and knees and opened my Bible. Not that I'm a Bible thumper, but I am a Christian woman, very spiritual, a very spiritual woman. I have very fine-tuned gifts of intuition as well. And the Lord told me, open your Bible randomly and where your right finger lie, read that verse. It was Ezra 10:4. This was a twofold mission. 10:4, message received. What did Ezra 10:4 say? Arise and know this mission belongeth to thee. We will be with thee. Go of good courage. That's when I prayed to the Lord, what do you want me to do, Lord? I'm a warrior. I've been born into a warrior lineage. Do I go and get the word out about what happened and look through this and research or do I just sit back as a mother? I can't sit back. Would you sit back if tyranny happened to your son or daughter? No.
Obviously not.
So, this was coming from the Lord. I mean, we have a living God, whether you want to believe it or not. And so I took that seriously. And from that day forth, I went. And it took 2-3 years. But when it involved other people and my friends were being attacked and weird things were happening to them, and they were being followed because they were with me, it's a PsyOps 101. They were trying to alienate my friends from me so that, that's the scoop. But that didn't happen because it only fortified me to jump back up on 2 feet and start learning everything I could and connecting the dots. And I went down the rabbit hole. Then it wasn't just about my son anymore. It was about.
Oh yeah, that's a deep rabbit hole too.
Oh, you froze her.
So what I saw 13 years ago is now at everybody's front door. And for 13 years, I've been on different shows talking about it.
It's crazy that the Marine Corps has always been very difficult for people to get like awards and stuff like that. And I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. But to me, I've read your son's citation a shit ton of times. Especially like the thing that blows my mind is that we have to. I'll go out on a limb and say this, like I think it'll get upgraded. 100%.
Thank you, and I believe so too. And
but I think it should be upgraded. Like to say that two people. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but citation. I've read the case. The only thing I've never read out of that situation was the 500 pages, which I didn't know the Army and the Marine Corps turned in. I thought the 500 pages was an investigation from the Pentagon.
Yeah, the investigation.
I didn't know.
Well, and I would be happy to share those with you. If I knew you were going to read them, I would be happy to share that with you.
100%, I would love to read that.
Yeah,
like you have no.
Yeah.
Like, 100% I would sit down and read that.
Okay, and then because this isn't the first show, I'll come on. We'll do another one, and then when my book comes out, so you just provide me with your contact info, and I'll get you something sent out in the next week or two.
Oh, definitely.
I gotta ask you this, Susan. What do you tell people who have? So it's a threefold question. What could you tell people that have people that are going in the military? What could you tell people that have lost people that are military? And what could you tell people to deal with anything that they're going through in regards to those situations?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I'll give you one answer for all those 3 questions, okay? Because everybody has a different reason why we go into the military. Most of us want to be a part of something greater than ourselves, but some people it's survival. It's 3 square meals and a place to live and travel and meet other people. So do what's on your heart to do, and know that the circumstance we're in now is going to be changing very soon in the weeks and months ahead. How everything is now, and I know it might be difficult for you guys, but it's true. Everything's in the middle of changing, and don't worry. Just do what's on your heart. If you want to join for the right reason is to protect our Constitution and to be that voice for the other 99% of America. Well, you know what you're getting yourself into. Actions have consequences. But I don't think they'll become that statistic anymore. I think it will be safer for them, knowing what I know and what you are going to find out very soon.
Mhm.
That's what I would say from a mother of a Marine daughter, and a veteran. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does.
Yeah.
I just feel that it's always it's ups and downs when it comes to joining the military, especially after the last 20 years. It's
Yeah, well, listen, guys, I don't know if you knew, but when Trump was in office, whether you like him or not, he ended it. He got us out of there. And then when Biden came in, it started up again, and then we lost all of our equipment and everything. So being who I am, and I focus the lens every day on what's going on, who's there, I watch for executive orders. I know, because it's in my blood. That's who I am, a Marine mom. But you're going to see there's going to be a change in our government. There's already a breakdown of governments going on around the world. So, and we're included in that. Everything's changing, our financial system, our everything. Everything's going to be changing very soon.
I can see that. Yeah.
Susan, I appreciate this, and I know we have other stuff to do and you have a busy day, but before you head out, could you give everybody contact info where they can follow you and where they can follow and where they can all your upcoming books?
Yeah.
Well, they can write to me if they want to, and hopefully you'll post my email, my S for Susan, S.Price for Justice, FOR Justice @gmail.com. And I'm also on AmericaOutloud.com.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 weeks, I will be on the PPN network, which if you go to rumble.com and put in PPN, you'll see Quantum Warrior. I'll have the Quantum Warrior show up and running the week after next.
Okay. Can you tell us who your first guest is going to be?
I can't tell you right now because I'm waiting for somebody important to get back to me.
Okay. Just so I
But-
yeah. All right.
But you could be amongst the crowd if you would like to.
Yeah.
I always enjoy our conversation. I'm just glad. I'm glad things are looking a little bit better for you after what happened in Florida.
Well, you know what? I'm in a transformation process. I'm in a temporary placement right now. And I just have to live in the moment and take it day by day, because I know by spring, we're going to have it's going to be a total different America. And my world within my world is going to be different as well as yours. I mean, we all do the best we can every day. Am I living the fullest? No, but I will be. And I'm working on making that happen.
No, good. That's always good to hear.
Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you. And God bless you, and thank you to all who served, all our veterans. Veterans Day is coming up. Thank you for your service.